My name is Jim Whining. Let's see if I can get this right here. My name is Jim Whining, and I'm here to represent an ordinary man. And that ordinary man is seeking simple solutions to complicated problems that seem to plague us every day of our lives. Today, I'm going to pick out one topic, which is what my plans are for these little get-togetherings that we call an ordinary man. I'm going to pick out one topic right now, which is hot everywhere you see on TV, listening to radio, on the internet. It's the topic freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. One of the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, in fact, is freedom of speech. Entangled in that are some words that we need to take a little bit of a look at right now. One of these words is abridging the freedom of speech, that this Constitution will not abridge freedom of speech. Now, what actually is the word abridge? I mean, you don't hear that every day. You don't sit around and say, "Hey, I abridged this, I abridged that." No, that's ridiculous. Abridged means to contract, to condense, to literally uh, change the format, maybe, of what's being said, if it's allowed said. It is a restriction, and it's saying there will be no restrictions on freedom of speech. Now, look at the subjects about freedom of speech. There's the question of hate speech. There's the question of threatening speech. Neither one of those levels of speech rise to the equation of life and death, not by themselves, not taken to themselves in their context. No, it doesn't. It's a prelude, yes. It's a warning, yes. And it may well constitute preconditions and justification of premeditation. But that actual speech, if you eliminate that, you have condensed, you have abridged, you have contracted freedom of speech. And so when we look at that, we have to say, we got to put up with it. We don't want to put up with it, but we got to put up with it. And so speaking freely means being able to allow hate speech and disgusting speech. Now, there's going to be some speech that may well be not acceptable, even initially as freedom, that involves minors. And that's a whole different topic to talk about. But certainly preemptive action would be related to a minor and not an adult in that topic. Now, when we look now at that First Amendment, we then apply our Christian principles, because overall, if you truly are a believer, you are trying to follow the Word of God, New and Old Testament. You're trying to conduct your life, well, first and foremost, within the guidelines of the Ten Commandments. And one of those commandments, first commandments, says, "Thou shalt not murder." Now, kill is a different subject. Initially, we might have seen kill in the Bibles, not in New King James, etc. But kill has a tendency to expand the definition of human action against human action, which is really what the Bible is dealing with in the Ten Commandments. It's dealing with human interaction. And because, obviously in Genesis, we're permitted to kill animals for our own survival. So when we look at when we look at the sixth commandment of the Bible, we're looking at thou shalt not murder. So if these people with threatening speech or um, dangerous speech even evolve into an attempted murder or a murder, that's the end of it. That speech becomes essentially the prime information for a crime that is done. Now, murder or not murder, it's still an attempt to murder. And a murder you are not supposed to be doing as a Christian. And so when we judge that value against that action, we have to remember that that is the action. It's not the threat of the action, although the threat of the action constitutes a warning, a definition of a person with preconditions, premeditated conditions to kill somebody. Yes, but the actual verbiage and is not. But when that turns into action, that's when we as Christians step in with obviously the sixth commandment, thou shalt not kill. And so they are violating a Christian principle. And so we have to support these people being removed from society. I won't address today the issue of capital punishment because that's going to be another hard one to swallow as a Christian. But this one we need to swallow, and it's a hard one, and that is even nasty, hateful, vengeful people's remarks do not constitute the basis to condense or abridge in any way their right of freedom of speech in this country, because we have the First Amendment rights. And as a Christian, I know it's hard to hear these comments about people that are wonderful Christians and have done wonderful service for the Lord. But if we distract from our Constitution, we jeopardize the rights not only of freedom of speech, but freedom of religion, and what we live for every day. I thank you for listening to An Ordinary Man looking at today's trouble that we have with freedom of speech. I'll talk with you later. God bless you, and I hope you have a blessed day.